it kind of changes when you become captain. So, before that, when I first got into the England setup, I was playing for my home club, Folkestone. I didn't play in the Premiership. I was a little bit stubborn. I'm like, I'm going to stay where I are. I love playing for my club. We were kind of, we got up to like kind of level 2, level 3. We'd done well. I felt I was still learning. Um, I went to Premiership for half season, then went back to Folkestone because that's where I felt I was playing better. But breaking into the England setup, like no one really knew me. Or like, who is this girl from Folkestone? And I found that I, I I didn't feel confident to start with. I was developing my confidence as I went, and I was like, oh, actually, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm okay. Um, and then similar when I became captain, I wouldn't say that I was the natural choice. Streety had a long list of criteria, and I managed to come out on top of that. I also at one point phoned him when I knew Sue Day was the outward going captain. I knew there was kind of a vacancy. Um, I feel like it's the bravest I've ever been in my life. And I phoned him up and I said, I want to be captain. I had a real think about it. I sort of developed this sort of quiet leadership style. And I put my hand up and I was really, really nervous. I've known Streety for years. He'd been there right since the beginning of academy. I remember now I was sat in a car park on my lunch break. I used to work at Yates Leisure Centre for the Glamour. And I phoned him and I actually ended up chatting about other players, including Rocky, Tamara Taylor, who would be good captains. And I was like, hang on, I was supposed to talk about myself. But I think that was something that went in my went in my favour, that I had phoned that out. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, when I became captain, I wasn't necessarily the most natural choice. But you are right. So I had to kind of develop my captaincy. I was absolutely winging it for a couple of years. I was faking it until I worked out what I was doing. And then I realized I was, oh, I'm actually doing this now. That's okay. But you have to, there's even more of a spotlight you on a player as a player. You know, players who are playing my position who wanted to play number 8 for England were like, well, she's just getting picked. She's captain. So you have to definitely up your performance. I wanted to be on that pitch because I was the best number 8, not because I was captain. And you suddenly have these two jobs that you've got that are really important, and you've got to perform and excel at both of those. Otherwise, it won't work. You've still got to do your day job as your number 8 or your position on a pitch, plus suddenly have this other seemingly full-time job, and then have an actual job as well for me. But yeah, I think you're right. When you become captain, there's a bigger spotlight. You're expecting to talk about leading by example on the pitch. You're expected to, aren't you? And often in the big
Hmm.
moments when it counts, you've got to keep your composure, haven't you?
Hmm.
Um, and you equally have to, I feel like, train harder, work harder, because you've always got a point to prove. You've got to be even better to say that you're there on merit, not because you've got that C after your name on the team list.
A good
So
point.
just taking you back, Catherine, when you talked about, I found out fascinated about the contracts and said it made no difference to performance. I can remember watching an interview with David Campese. I think it was like late 80s, and
Yeah,
he was doing grid sprints during his lunchtime, and
yeah,
they said, do you want to be a professional athlete? And he said, I am a professional athlete. And he
yeah,
said the definition of professionalism was for him to be an expert at what he does, to be the best possible person, and that's not judged on how well you're paid, and that translates into the business world. To be a true professional, you just got to want to be the best. And